Another election day here in the U.S. Some U.S. voters heading to the polls for the first time since Donald Trump was reelected. My next guest is thinking a few steps ahead. She's running for office in 2026. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is running as a Democrat in the race for Illinois' 9th congressional district. She is going to challenge the Democratic incumbent. Her pitch: Democrats are not doing enough to push back on President Trump. Take a listen to one of her campaign videos.
Unfortunately, this party has become one where you have to look to the exceptions for real leadership, as the majority work from an outdated playbook. We need a makeover, which means we need a vision that's bigger than what we've been told is possible. That means standing up to authoritarians, not shrinking away when the fight gets tough. And while current Democratic leadership might be fine cowering to Trump, I'm not.
Abu-Ghazaleh is betting big on her own media savvy. Born in 1999, she's part of Gen Z, which grew up on platforms such as YouTube and TikTok. She's also an experienced media professional in her own right, working for Media Matters and the online publication Mother Jones. Kat joins me now from Chicago. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me.
So first, I wonder, when you speak to voters in the 9th district there, Democratic voters or perhaps independents, how do they see Democrats' efforts to challenge the Trump administration so far?
Oh, everyone I've talked to has been incredibly disappointed. In fact, I think that when we're talking about what Democrats are doing, we really need to point to Cory Booker as an anomaly. Right now, he is about to break a record for the longest speech on the Senate floor, a record that's been held by Strom Thurmond, who railed against the Civil Rights Act for decades. I think a lot of people understand that the Democrats can't get through a ton of progressive or even liberal legislation right now. But the idea of just rolling over, of just letting Trump do whatever he wants, of letting Americans get hurt so that hopefully people will vote for you in 2026, it's disgusting. And Cory Booker even admitted these flaws of the Democratic Party, saying that they have failed the Democratic people, that they've failed the American people, that they've come up short. And I think that's what a lot of Americans are asking, just bare minimum. Publicly stand up for us, publicly stand up to Trump, and acknowledge when you've fallen short, so that way we can be better. And that's what I want to do.
Two big issues drove a lot of voters in the last election cycle: immigration and inflation. And granted, every cycle is different, but I wonder, how do you plan to address or to convince voters on those two issues?
Yeah, I think this system isn't working for a lot of people. One of our main issues on our website is just as basic existence, because you should be able to afford housing, healthcare, and groceries with money left over, enough to save and then also go to the movies or take your kid to the zoo. That's like a very low bar. And yet I heard from so many people that it's unrealistic, that we couldn't get there. And I ask why. And it's because this system is built to cater to billionaires and corporations. We need to tax billionaires, we need to tax corporations, we need to tax wealth. And in a lot of cases, for example, Medicare for all, these types of systems would actually be cheaper for the average American. They would be cheaper for the country as a whole. When you look at our healthcare system, people are paying so much more in prices of medication and prices of surgery, but you also have people that won't go to the hospital or won't go to the doctor and then can't work anymore because they can't afford healthcare, so they can't contribute to the economy. So I think what a lot of people would call progressive, I would just call basic economic common sense.
How about on the cultural war issues, for lack of a better term, which did drive some voters, perhaps not all of them, and even Democrats acknowledged that particularly there was that clip of Kamala Harris talking about transgender surgery for prisoners, which they acknowledge in some states really hurt them. That is one sign of a social issue that drove some voters. Do you believe that Democrats went too far left on some social issues, and to win in the next cycle, you and others have to bring it back to the middle, and in effect soften a progressive or woke, as it's called by Donald Trump, some of those issues, and move towards the center?
Yeah, absolutely not. Democrats deciding that trans people are the reason they lost the election in 2024, it's ridiculous. It's offensive. And frankly, they are contributing to Trump's authoritarianism. The transgender community, the queer community as a whole, but particularly the trans community, have been often the first targets in authoritarian and fascist regimes, and that's happening right now. And people like myself, people in my line of work, studying, researching, and attacking fascism, have been warning about this for years. And Democrats didn't listen. A lot of people stayed home in 2024, and a lot fewer people voted against Democrats because of woke than I think a lot of people assume. A far bigger issue is that we aren't giving people something to vote for. So many more people stayed home in 2020 of pretty much almost all demographics because they didn't feel represented by either candidate. They didn't feel listened to by either party. And it isn't because of vulnerable communities. It's because these are parties being led by people who are out of touch and people that don't listen to their constituents.
Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, we appreciate you coming on. Also wish you good luck as you begin your race for the 9th District there in Illinois.
Is America really crying out for another ring light revolutionary with a Media Matters pedigree and a P.O. box in the district just long enough to qualify for the ballot? When I see Kat, I can't help but visualize the ring light reflection in her eyes that nearly all young Americans her age have when they preen for the camera. Meet Kat Abu-Ghazaleh, TikTok's favorite partisan missile and the DNC's latest outsider insurgent. That's outsider in quotes. She's not so much running for office as she is rebranding congressional campaigns as digital content drops. She got famous snipping Fox News clips, went viral on progressive Twitter, and now she's parachuted into Illinois' 9th District, challenging an aging incumbent with the full backing of online donors, influencer hype squads, and soft-focused media profiles. This isn't grassroots, it's AstroTurf with corporate funding and youth-targeted hashtags. Jan Schakowsky is the incumbent. Jan Schakowsky is an 81-year-old political fossil who's been in office since dial-up internet was cutting edge. She says she's considering retirement, which is bold, considering she's been eligible since before the iPhone was invented. Young, vacuous mid-rangers like Kat have a chance because the Democrats' campaign slogan has been "Make Congress Octogenarian Again," and "Please clap louder, I can't hear you," led by their octo queen Nancy Pelosi, who is objectively hot for a 99-year-old. Nancy is a weird case because she is hotter now than she was when she was 30, showing everything off with her sexy walker. Nancy's walker isn't standard issue. It's custom built with a champagne cup holder and a Pelosi AIPAC donation tray. That competition, however, makes a below-average 5. Kat looked like Alyssa Milano in her prime. Kat's campaign is a product of the rebrand rebellion Democrats have been quietly engineering behind the scenes. According to Representative Ro Khanna, the party needs a whole rebrand. They've admitted it outright. Their playbook is old, their image is shot, and they're betting everything on fresh-faced optics over bold new policy. That's where Kat comes in, not to fight corruption, but to make it look cuter on camera. When David Hogg, now a DNC vice chair at 25, screams, "Let's go kick some ass," and Kat herself posts, "What if we didn't suck?" As a campaign motto, we're not witnessing political conviction, we're watching a marketing campaign. The same Democratic Party that couldn't pass Medicare for all now thinks the solution is paid TikTok memes and a Gen Z aesthetic. Biden's first campaign TikTok literally started with "LOL, hey guys." This isn't resistance, it's brand therapy. Kat's central talking point is that Democrats are working from an outdated playbook. Bold claim and fair. But her answer isn't new strategy. It's new influencers. The DCCC is openly paying TikTok creators. Yes, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, or as it's better known in DC backrooms, donors controlling candidate choices. This isn't an organization. It's a political laundering machine dressed up as a campaign strategy team. Priorities USA pumped $1 million into social media influencers in 2022. The party literally hosted TikTok stars at the White House to boost its appeal. Kat's entire campaign is drenched in this formula: youthful, meme-ready, and utterly hollow. She's not challenging the system's core rot. She's putting a trending audio track over it. As a side note, MAGA is no better. Tim Pool was recently given a press pass. 2 years ago, I would have been excited, but that was before I realized he's no different than Kat, other than the beanie. They aren't challenging power. And yet, in a CNN interview, Kat strikes the pose of a brave dissenter. She says Democrats have been cowering to Trump, and she's here to stand up to authoritarians. Adorable. This from someone running inside the party that tried to censor Facebook posts directly from the White House, partnered with Palantir to deport immigrants by AI, and is enforcing a national digital ID system that both Trump and Biden embraced. Democrats don't oppose authoritarianism. They just prefer their own version, algorithmic, biometric, and fact-checked by Google. Kat's not resisting power. She's just switching filters. And MAGA world, they're no better. Trump's FBI bought Israeli spyware to surveil Americans, and the same Republican reps who scream about muff freedom back every surveillance tool as long as it tracks immigrants, leftists, or whoever disagrees with Israel. This is a two-party cartel of control, and Kat is auditioning for a speaking role. Then there's the cringe-worthy Cory Booker moment. In her interview, Kat holds up Booker as a rare example of courage, and because he's filibustering for hours on end. But Booker's political courage is about as authentic as a pharmaceutical PR statement. He raged against Big Pharma on the debate stage while cashing checks from Merck and Pfizer, and only returned the money once he got caught. He condemned profiteering while accepting over $400,000 from health and drug industry donors. He literally called criticism of private equity nauseating while defending Bain Capital on national television. He even co-sponsored anti-BDS legislation and went on the record saying BDS activists want to destroy Israel. If that's her moral North Star, we already know where this ship's headed, straight into the lobbying iceberg. Kat also accused Democrats of letting Americans suffer under Trump so they can campaign on the wreckage. And sure, that's true. Democrats are playing electoral chicken with working people's lives. But let's not pretend Kat isn't monetizing the same wreckage. Her whole career is built on watching America fail and reacting to it on camera. She's not a rescuer. She's a chronicler of collapse. And now she wants to legislate the storyline. And she talks about accountability, about how Democrats should admit when they've failed. But when she briefly criticized her opponent for supporting Israeli aggression during the ongoing Gaza slaughter, she backpedaled the second it caused friction. No more fundraising texts about Palestine, no more bold talk, just silence. That's not accountability. That's a focus grouped retreat. She'll say what sounds brave in a campaign reel, but if the donor base growls, she'll sit back down. When CNN asked about inflation and immigration, actual policy, she pivoted to the vaguest possible statement: the system isn't working. No specifics, no plan, not even a nod to Medicare for all. And here's where the contradiction goes nuclear. Kat hangs a keffiyeh in her campaign video and invokes her Palestinian roots, but supports Booker, a man who co-sponsors bills protecting the Israeli military from boycott. She won't back BDS. She won't pledge to condition aid. She only mentioned Gaza once, and that was before she got dragged. What is this campaign about? If she believes in Palestinian dignity, how can she support Zionist enablers? If she believes in health justice, why stay quiet on Medicare for all? The only thing she's consistent on is her brand and her silence when it counts. And of course, this didn't happen by accident. Kat is a product of the DNC's influencer industrial complex. They spent millions hiring Instagram comedians, Twitch streamers, and lifestyle vloggers to mimic organic activism. They don't want another FDR. They want another Alexandria Ocasio-Filter. Something viral, something aesthetic, someone who can cry on cue and clap back at critics while raking in donor cash. Crystal Ball nailed it. Democrats prefer TikTokers over Teamsters. And Jimmy Dore's been calling it for years, and social media leftists get elevated, sanitized, and sold right back to the system. If you're sick of candidates who can recite the latest meme but can't explain their position on military aid or healthcare, you're in the right place. After Show Carnage cuts through the ring light and finds the truth. Kat isn't fighting the system, she's syncing with it. Her campaign isn't a challenge, it's a firmware update. This isn't resistance, it's brand integration.